I hereby call the Brockton Special School Committee to order. We are at the Dr. William H. Arnone Theater at the Arnone School, 135 Belmont Street, Brockton, Mass. It is Tuesday, November 28th, 2023. It's a little past 7 o'clock. Again, we will please stand and salute the American flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I need to read the following into the record. This meeting will be held and will be accessible to the public via television on Comcast Channel 8 and also 1071 HD version, and also online via the following link, which is www.youtube.com/TheBrocktonChannels with an S. And I do need to establish a quorum. Mr. Sullivan, yeah. Mr. Homer, here. Vice Chair, here. Mrs. Rivas-Mendez, Ms. Rodriguez, here. Ms. Azak, here. I'm here. Mr. Sullivan actually is outside of the Commonwealth. He won't be joining us at this regular scheduled meeting. We do have one individual that signed in for a hearing of visitors, and again, it's a three-minute discussion by the person. Maggie Penny, please. Good evening.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Good to be here after Thanksgiving. I just wanted to mention some things, raise your awareness about some things that have been brought to my attention, and also some things that I've thought of and contemplated. As far as MCAS, I'm wondering with the teacher shortage, absence issues, how that's going to work with MCAS, particularly for our 10th graders and any of our students who have missed classroom instructional time due to the issues that have been beyond their control. How are we thinking that's going to look for these students, these 10th graders, and any other students that might have to retake MCAS, as has happened in the past? It's just something that I know you guys can't answer, but it's something that's I'm thinking of already because that kind of parent. The other things that have been brought to my attention is the hygiene situation at the school. I don't know if this is true, but I've been told or I've been made aware that the school's only being cleaned once a week. We've had some parents that have raised concerns about going to classrooms and having there be trash everywhere. And so hopefully that's not the situation. With Brockton High being a college preparatory, vocational and career preparatory school, I think it's important for the culture of the students and the climate for them to feel like they're in a clean environment in their classrooms, in their bathrooms, in their hallways, as well as when their families come for whatever reasons, parent-teacher conferences, open houses, and things of school councils, school site council meetings, that they're encountering an environment that is clean and hygiene when they're not concerned that there might be issues concerning rodents and trash and that kind of thing. And then the last thing I wanted to ask about is the National Honor Society applications. Now, I'm a parent that was denied that opportunity. Nobody brought it to my attention when I was a high schooler, so I'm concerned that we have seniors that have already done their due diligence, filled out the applications, but they're sitting on a pile and not being reviewed. So these are just things I wanted to raise. Thank you for your time, and hopefully we can get acting on all three items. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good evening. Thank you. It was perfect timing. We will go on to agenda item 5, which is discussion and potential vote regarding the Audit Firm Selection Advisory Committee meeting, which was dated November 15th, 2023. There was a unanimous vote. Again, we do want to publicly thank again the 3 community members. There was one alternate as well. The 3 permanent members were phenomenal. Great conversation, great questions. But it did come back favorable to the full committee with a recommendation. What is the will of the committee and what is the conversation at this time? Vice Chair, please.
I think that one of the things we wanted to make sure is there were 2 members missing from the committee when we did the audit, Ms. Sullivan and Ms. Rivas-Mendez. And so we wanted to make sure that they had an opportunity if they had any questions in regards to who we picked. So if you didn't see the video, there were, obviously 3 organizations that presented to us. I think one of the most surprising things is there wasn't really an argument or a concern with who we picked across the board. We all agreed that RSM had the best presentation. They felt like they would be the best fit if they were in Central and, in other people's spaces. What they had to say was honestly exactly what we're looking for. And one of the things that impressed me is the technology that they use. They have an enormous amount of technology that's able to look at behaviors, it's able to look at data, and it's able to basically, not only help us identify what happened, during this with the deficit, but also identify processes that we might want to use moving forward that we don't actually have right now. And so at the end, when we did the vote, and I don't want to speak for myself, I'd love to hear from other members, but it felt like we all unanimously thought this was the best pick for us and to move forward.
Thank you, Vice Chair. Ms. Azak, please.
Thank you. I echo what Vice Chair Ehlers just mentioned. Out of the 3 presentations, they were the only ones I really didn't have any questions for, because in their presentation, they didn't leave room for any questions. They pretty much answered everything from soup to nuts, what we were looking for, from time frame to what process, how they would go about if they did hit a wall and they needed more information. So again, I'm sure the 2 members have gotten the booklets, but it was very impressive. They did not leave. When you have a presentation and you don't have questions, they pretty much covered it. So that's always impressive, and I know the committee was very impressed with them. So hopefully we can vote on that tonight and get the process started. But they were my top choice. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Azak. Any other members of the committee? Mrs. Sullivan, please.
I just heard from some of the audit committee members. Now, they were in favor of this one too, the same as the school committee.
Yes.
Yeah, so I would go by what the audit committee people, and most of the people here. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Sullivan. Any other members? Mr. Rodriguez, please.
Echo what Mrs. Ellis and Mrs. Azak stated, that they left no rooms to ask questions. I stated, in previous meetings that this isn't a speedy process, but an accurate process to see exactly what happened. Bringing that advisory committee with having the 3 members from the community involved. They were involved in the whole process, that the community gets to see where we go from here once this audit is complete, so that we can put some procedures and policies into place to make sure that this doesn't happen again. It never happens again. And this is the body that has to assure that this doesn't happen, in making sure it's a very transparent process. Just to, for those that are viewing, and also our staff that work down at Central, we have to get this done. It's going to be uncomfortable when you have people from the outside trying to figure out what happened, and that's where we are now. And I believe that we're going to come to a consensus of here's the mistakes that weren't having safeguards in place, and we have to be that body to make sure that we have that in place moving forward. So I'm very confident that this firm that we selected, once we take a formal vote, they're going to come back with some definite, concrete answers of when did this happen, who knew about it, and how, and we'll go from there.
Thank you, Mr. Rodriguez. Well, the chair also concurs. I think one of the interesting things that they stated was that they're hired by the FBI, and that's no joke. I mean, to get hired by the Federal Bureau of Investigation, you have to be at the top of top for auditing firms. So I also recommend we go with those firms. They're national, but they're also based in Charlestown, Mass., so they're local. And so, are there any other comments at this time, or would we, Vice Chair again?
The only The thing I was going to say is that they have the ability to truly be multilingual with the technology
Yes.
that they have. And so I think that's really important, as well as whatever our findings are, that we're able to communicate that to all of our constituents regardless of language. And so that also impressed me, because I think, to what Mr. Rodriguez said, I think at this point we're all interested in transparency moving forward and having the right processes so that it doesn't happen again. That's all.
Any other members that haven't spoken that would like to speak at this time? If not, we should entertain a motion relative to the final vote to engage the firm. So is there a motion, please?
Motion to approve RSM as our new audit firm to conduct the audit for the deficit for fiscal year 2023.
All right, motion was made by Vice Chair Ayers, properly seconded by Ms. Azak. It would have been Mr. Rodriguez. He beat him just by a second. All in favor, kindly raise your hand. All opposed, raise your hand. That passes unanimous, less one with Mr. Sullivan not being here today, but it does pass unanimous for those seated today. Thank you very much, and they will be engaged in short order. Number 6 is discussion and potential vote amendment to Dr. James Cobb's contract. Under advice of counsel, and Sarah's here, it was recommended that we take a motion to postpone number 6 until prior to number 8. Number 7 is to go into executive session, but Attorney Spotiford thought we should take number 6 after we come back. That's correct, Attorney Spotiford? Okay. Is there a motion to just take number 6 after we come back from executive session?
On item number 6, so we are discussing the first order of executive session in due to the acting superintendent, because here it's actually listed as interim superintendent. And my question being that is that, was Dr. Cobbs properly notified that we were going to be discussing them, because we are going into an executive session. We have to afford him the opportunity to legal counsel, and also if he wanted to have this discussion done on an open floor. So therefore, it's not listed that his name is here. So are we in violation of the open meeting law?
Attorney Spotiford.
Purpose one, this is just to discuss his contract, so we don't owe the same legal obligation.
So, but it's still stated interim superintendent instead of acting superintendent. So I'm just trying to get this correct.
We're going to make an amendment on the floor today because this was unknown. We were going to need to discuss this and unanticipated. So my suggestion would be to amend that executive session item to include both the interim superintendent and acting.
Okay.
So we can have a discussion on that.
So we'll take 2 motions first. Is there a motion to take number 6 prior to number 8? Is there a motion?
Motion to move number 6 to be discussed after number 8 when we return from executive session.
Motion was on the floor. Is there a second? Motion was made by Vice Chair, properly seconded by Ms. Sullivan. All in favor, kindly raise your hand. All opposed? Gotta do it again. All in favor, kindly raise your hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All opposed? 2, 5 and 2. So number 6 has been allowed to come in after number 7. Is there a motion? Well, actually, we're gonna take that motion after. Number 7 is executive session, and there's 2 matters. But before I read the matters, I have to take a roll call vote to go into executive session. Mr. Sullivan?
Yes.
Mr. Homer?
Yes.
Vice Chair?
Yes.
Mrs. Rivas-Mendez?
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez?
No.
Ms. Azak?
Yes.
And I'm yes as well. So Mass General, there's 2 matters about executive session. Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 21A2, to conduct strategy sessions in preparation for negotiations with non-union personnel, or to conduct collective bargaining sessions or contract negotiations with non-union personnel, interim superintendent. At this time, under advice of counsel, I'd entertain a motion to also add acting superintendent. Is that correct, Attorney Spotiford? Yes. Is there a motion to add the verbiage acting superintendent?
Motion to approve and add acting superintendent.
On the motion,
On the motion?
if you're adding acting superintendent, he still needs to be notified, correct?
Attorney Spotiford, can you just come up because it's being taped? Good evening.
Hi. So Dr. Cobbs was notified that this was the plan for tonight, but he does not legally. The only
open meeting law requirement for an active notifications for purpose 1 when you're discussing a complaint against somebody due to their character other than their performance. And we're not discussing anything like that tonight. This is just simply contract negotiations.
So, not putting you on the spot, were you notified?
No.
So you weren't notified?
Well, I'm notified of the contract amendment. I discussed it, but I don't know where we are.
I emailed you that this was the plan that I was going to bring it to the committee because you asked for some changes. Yes.
I just feel that this is an open meeting violation. That's just my opinion on this because he just stated that he wasn't notified. So we are going to be discussing his character. So he does have.
We're not discussing his character.
So there's no character. Okay.
No. This is just simply Dr. Cobb's asked for an amendment to the amendment so I want to bring it to the committee because
Okay.
it's different than what was authorized.
All right. I yield.
You were notified of that. So there's a motion to add the verbiage acting superintendent made by the vice chair. Is there a second to that?
Second.
Second made by Mrs. Sullivan. All in favor of just adding the verbiage acting superintendent, kindly raise your hand. Please put up high. All opposed? Again, it's 5-2. So the verbiage acting superintendent. That's the first agenda item under executive session. The second agenda item is Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 21A3, to discuss strategy with respect to collective bargaining or litigation if an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the bargaining or litigating position of the public body, and the chair so declares. I do declare. And it's IBA, TEA, and those are the matters. For Brockton Community Access, we will be, sometimes we don't come back in open session, we will be coming back in open session. We will at that time hear number 6, number 8, number 9 before we adjourn, okay? We'll go into executive session at this time, and it's down there to the left. I hereby call us back into open session, it being the special school committee meeting. I do want to thank those that are in the audience that waited for us tonight. To come back in, I'm just going to establish a quorum again. Mrs. Sullivan? Yeah. Mr. Homer? Here. Vice Chair? Yeah. Mrs. Rivas-Mendez? Yes. Ms. Rodriguez? Ms. Azak? Here. I'm here as well. We've established a quorum. We will go back onto the regular schedule agenda. We will go to 6, discussion and potential vote amendment to Dr. James Cobb's contract.
I'd like to make a motion to postpone item 6 for a future meeting.
Motion made by Mr. Homer. Is there a second on that motion?
Second.
It's a motion made by Vice Chair to the next, just to clarify the motion, is it to postpone to the next regular scheduled school committee meeting, Mr. Homer?
That would be preferable, I think.
Okay, so that's the form of the motion. Okay. All in favor of that motion, kindly raise your hand. If you're opposed, raise your hand. It will be postponed, agenda item 6, until the next regular scheduled meeting, which is, I believe, next week. We will now go on to agenda 8, which is potential return to open session, which we're here, to vote on items from executive session.
I'll make
Mr. Rodriguez, please.
Sorry. Make a motion to approve amendment to the IBAA TEA collective bargaining agreement to include the multilingual staff as part of the union.
Form of a motion.
Form of motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
I'm going to give,
Mrs. Mendez.
Mrs. Rivas-Mendez that. So it's made by Mr. Rodriguez, properly seconded by Cynthia Rivas-Mendez. All in favor of that, please raise your hand. All opposed, raise your hand. It was passed unanimously. Number 9 is the adjournment. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Oh, well, everybody loved that one, huh? I'm going to give that to Cynthia. It's properly seconded. All in favor, kindly raise your hand. All opposed, have a good night. Drive careful. Thank you.